Spitters or quitters?
That was what? What?
You're welcome. Payback.
What? Because I touched your butt?
I touched
Twice.
You touched two top cheeks and one full cheek.
They sound like us.
I know, right? I feel comfortable now. Let me
This is a
taste it.
bromance.
Right?
Wait,
So
what?
Walking up to Krista and just.
So he literally just took a wet finger in my ear, though.
You're welcome.
That sounds.
Who's that benefiting?
If you weren't wearing that, I wouldn't have thought it was okay.
You know what? He's not wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
I mean, in the court of law, they would say, well, what was he wearing?
No.
And in
What
social
was she
media, they
wearing?
say he was asking for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did he say don't do it?
Right? He didn't.
You just stuck it in.
Until I know that you didn't want it.
Straight on stuck it. You didn't even ask permission.
You didn't say you didn't want it. Your appearance says you didn't want it. What am I supposed to do? Your
What's a man
silence?
supposed to think?
Your silence or your messages?
Leave what you want.
Silence is
And I
violence.
did, and you got it. And it was wet.
I'm encouraging
And I
this.
have
Let's
thick
go.
fingers.
This
I
isn't long
stretched
enough.
it.
No.
I felt it.
You
out.
said-
Stupid.
You can put it in your ears though.
I
No,
know
I
it
can't.
hurts.
It's
Does it work? Wait a minute.
no,
No,
it
don't-
doesn't.
Don't. Where are you sticking that?
Oh, they don't
It's
have.
going up to my heart, weirdo.
That's not where your heart is.
Listen,
So you know that.
She said, wait a minute, so I stopped. I didn't know if I was going to hurt her by ripping at it.
Hey, what's it saying?
It's saying, go on. I'm drunk.
Who's drunk? You're drunk?
No,
No, you-
Oh my god.
Ugh,
It's not real.
it doesn't work. If you'll
It's
miss
a
doesn't.
prop, dude. It's supposed to be metal.
Like
The
it
fuck
does.
it
That's
doesn't.
not how that works.
Listen,
Why
nobody's
is this
playing
so
the drums right
working on
now,
his
so that's
face?
me.
Oh,
I
the dogs
hear
heard
that.
it.
He's upset too.
Look, there's no holes in these.
Listen,
There's
I
no
swear to
holes
you.
in them.
But you hear that, right?
I do. I hear it.
Are you lying to me?
Yes, I am. There's literally no
So
holes.
honest about her lies.
She's, right? She's so honest about her dishonesty. I heard it. I was immediately alarmed that my heart rate was
He said I was alarmed. I'm not a doctor, but
Please.
Bro, I might be dying.
You need to sit down.
My heart is fast.
you need my heart pressure medicine.
Feel it.
I don't know how fast it's fast.
Because you're touching my jaw.
I felt
Okay, you guys want to start death row?
Calm down, America.
death row.
Death row.
Death row, guys.
I'm excited about the little boy.
She's been whispering sweet nothings to that microphone. all
She
day.
loves it.
She's going to play this back in editing, and you're like, well,
We'll get to the little boy.
we need to have a talk. Because your future is in question.
So, death row was invented in 1933.
1933.
1933.
That's like,
Modern.
yeah. That I thought. Wow.
Because before then, they would just shoot you.
Well,
Guillotine.
listen.
Well, I mean, death row, though. You know.
Right. Because before
Yeah.
death row, they would just.
Yeah, you were.
So I'll tell you
immediately-
how it was invented. Okay, Giuseppe Zangara. He tried to assassinate Franklin D. Roosevelt during a speech he was given in Florida. Giuseppe shot 5 times, missed Roosevelt, and hit the mayor of Chicago.
5 times and missed every
Guns weren't
time.
the same.
So he killed Anton Surmark. I pronounced shit wrong. Anyway, he killed the mayor of Chicago. Giuseppe was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Florida law states an inmate could not be held in a cell with another inmate waiting execution. They would need to be held in a separate waiting cell.
So like solitary.
Since there was already one person in the death cell to be executed, they had to expand the waiting area, so they made a row of cells so they could have multiple prisoners waiting for death row, and that's why they call it death row.
Of course, it would be Florida. You said.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
Did you? Okay, sorry.
Did I fact check? No. Did I research? I did a lot of research. I don't know if any of the sites I looked at were true.
She didn't fact check her sites.
Are you just doing Wikipedia?
No, Wikipedia.
No, there's
isn't.
other things I go to.
That's probably it.
But
I don't know, that's like a
Wikipedia
yes.
is-
That's kind of like a yes.
Yeah.
I love
No,
putting
there
things
are
in
many
Wikipedia.
sites that I go to see if it's in more than one site, then I'll say it. But if it's only in one site, I'm like, I don't know if that's true. So in Ohio, there's one prison in Chillicothe for men and one prison in Marysville for women that hold people waiting for death row.
Yeah.
Yeah, Belarus is the only European country that uses the death penalty. Every other country has abolished the death penalty.
What is it called? Belarus?
Belarus.
I don't know what that is.
And every other country has abolished the death penalty.
I like this with Russia, so it checks out.
Like, I mean, I was looking at, like, when I was looking at blast meals, there's a lot of people in Asia and stuff like that, but you can see that it cuts off at a certain year. I'm like, oh, they abolished the death penalty then.
Oh, okay.
Why are you shaking your head?
Because it's like the Philippines. The Philippines, they reinvented the law to where they can just shoot you. Like,
Well, that's not the
cops-
death penalty. They just shoot
It
you.
is. The cops, if they feel like you're convicted of certain things or guilty of certain things, they just execute you on the street.
Yeah, they
There's no
actually.
death penalty because they just
That's
shoot
what
you.
I said. They.
They shoot you and
Yeah.
leave you.
He did.
I mean, no, he is right. That is the death penalty if you get shot.
Well, I know, but it's not like this
There's no
is your
death
death
row.
day.
They just shoot you.
Okay, well, maybe I'm
The
wrong.
Philippines, if you're suspected of being like a drug dealer, for a while there it was like rampant where it'd be like, I didn't like him, so I'd be like, he's a drug dealer, and then somebody would shoot him. And that was like 2 years ago.
Did he know it was a death penalty, though?
Was there a trial?
It's not the death penalty. It's
That's what I'm
murder.
saying.
That's why many countries don't have a death penalty. They just kill you.
Okay, well,
There's no trial.
Well, a
There's
lot
no
of countries
judge.
are communists too, and socialists, and all these other things
Edit
that
this
aren't.
out.
This is America, man. This is a little bit different. Is it?
all right.
I know they have weapons in their heads, and we got years.
Do you guys
Yeah, we'll go still.
Give these to them.
There's two.
Yeah, I know. That's the one you get.
Okay. So in the U.S., death row inmates typically spend more than a decade awaiting execution. Some spend more than 20 years. So, like Lawrence Bitterman, the toolbox killer, he died of natural causes.
Yeah.
He never got executed.
Should have been tortured. His nipple should have been ripped off with pliers.
Holy shit.
His balls should have been ripped off with pliers.
So, about a quarter of inmates die on death row of natural causes and never actually die from the death sentence or whatever.
Because they'd be fighting it.
Yeah.
And that's what people are wanting.
I got icing all over my fucking.
Want me to lick it off for you?
No. Okay. So distracting. The oldest prisoner on death row was Leroy Nash. Leroy was in and out of prison starting at 15 years old for armed robbery.
Leroy sounds familiar.
I don't know. In 1947, at 32, he shot a police officer and was sentenced to 25 years. After being released, he murdered a postal carrier and was sentenced to life in 1977 at 62 years old.
62.
He escaped from prison on a work crew at 66 and went to a pawn shop in Arizona and killed an employee. He was then sentenced to death and sat on death row until 2010, and at 94, he died of natural causes.
Wow.
60 is crazy. Getting active like that at 60 is insane. Like,
Like
really.
my heart pressure just gets up thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
So the youngest executed.
Ooh.
She is not happy about this. 1944, George Stinley Jr. was the youngest to be executed at just 14 years old. So let's see. George lived in a small southern town in South Carolina. There were segregated schools, churches, neighborhoods.
who's black?
He was a black kid. On March 1923, what the fuck? March 23rd, 1944, the bodies of two white girls, Betty,
Oh, I know this story.
11 years old, and Mary, 7 years old, were found in a ditch on the black side of town. These girls were beaten to death with a piece of blunt metal, like a railroad spike or something like that. The girls were last seen riding their bikes looking for flowers. They stopped when they saw George and asked him and his sister if they knew where any passion flowers are located.
Aww.
The police arrested the 14-year-old, and George confessed to the murders.
False confession.
Yeah, I don't know how long he was in interrogation or whatever, but he ended up confessing.
Mm-mm.
Well, the police system back then.
They're gonna get what they want from you.
Yeah.
Even though his sister was with him the time the murders were committed, they didn't believe him. He was convicted and sentenced to death. He was executed June 16th, 1944. He was too small to fit in the electric chair, so they used a Bible as a booster seat. They asked him if he had any last words, and he said, "No, sir." George started to cry when they placed the strap over his mouth and continued to cry when they placed a mask over his face, which also did not fit. That mask ended up slipping off when the electrocution was applied, revealing tears streaming down his face. 7 years later, the trial was vacated as an unfair trial and was wrongfully executed. So that was in like 2000 something.
And they used the Bible?
They used the Bible.
Yeah, how?
But yeah, they said he was wrongfully accused.
Well, yeah. And look at how fast he got put to death.
Mm-hmm.
I changed my vote.
It was the 40s, like
So
it
that
just
was
makes me
from
so mad.
March 23rd to June 16th is how long he was on death row, basically. Or from when it happened to when he got
Yeah.
executed. Yeah, you use the Bible. How ironic is that?
They were really, I mean, more people were religious back then too. So
Well, also, that's like the only thing in the death chamber is the Bible, because they read you your
yeah,
last
that's
rites.
true.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
It was the only thing in the room.
Do you have anything to add to this, Destiny?
No.
It is crazy, though.
Yeah.
To be that fast.
Yeah. For a 14-year-old? You want to take your
14.
time for a 14-year-old?
Like, was he even tried as like a juvenile?
Well, I don't know if that was a thing at 44.
The system was made for adults, so
Yeah.
it doesn't protect kids at all.
Correct.
So here's another.
That's always
one.
some heavy shit. We always talk about something heavy.
It's great.
Wait till we get into this next one.
Oh.
The first person electrocuted by the electric chair was William Kelmer in 1890.
1890,
1890.
and death row was made in 1933.
Well, death row, meaning more than one person would be
Yeah.
put to death.
So William was convicted of first-degree murder for killing his common-law wife. After a drinking binge, would you stop with the shrugs over there? After he had a drinking binge, the previous night he got in a heated argument with his girlfriend, or common-law wife, Tilly. He accused her of stealing and preparing to run away with his friend. Once the argument reached the peak, he calmly went to the barn, grabbed a hatchet, and returned to the house. He struck Tilly, repeatedly killing her. Then went over to the neighbors and announced what he just did. He was sentenced to death by electric chair. So, the execution.
Why would you kill her without killing a friend?
Right? He wasn't there.
Seeking
Yeah.
out.
Opportunity. On the morning of his execution, he got up at 5 a.m., dressed in a suit, ate some breakfast, and prayed. Then he was taken to get the top of his head shaved. 17 witnesses watched as he got in the chair and said, "Gentlemen, I wish you good luck. I believe I am going to a good place and I'm ready to go." They cut a hole in his suit so the second electrical thing could be attached to his body. I guess it was like the hat and then like something on his chest.
So they shaved the top of his head.
Mm-hmm.
They got to put that wet rag there, don't they?
Yeah.
Was that real?
Makes sense.
I don't know.
Wouldn't the wet rag just affect it no matter what?
Well, I think
Would it do the
maybe
same
also
thing?
like
Maybe
What
the
is-
burning hair.
yeah, burning hair and stuff like that. Maybe they need
You got
like
a burning body.
What's going to smell? Yeah.
Well, you die before your body catches on fire, but your hair will catch on fire probably first.
I would imagine. But I
How
don't
high are
know.
they cranking that electricity up? I don't think they're supposed to catch on fire.
Hair will catch on
They
fire.
shock you and then
It'll singe it for
yeah,
sure.
you'll get singed and everything, but you're not going to start. You don't. spontaneously combust.
Do you guys
remember?
want me to keep reading?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay. The order was given to throw the switch and generate 1,000 volts of electricity to induce quick unconsciousness and cardiac arrest. The chair was tested the day before on a horse.
On a horse. They should have used a pig.
A fucking horse?
A horse. That's the first time it was
They
used.
walked a horse into the death chamber.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't walk a horse. They walked a
That's
horse.
the first place my mind went, and now I
I love that. No, they did that probably outside before they fucking electric chair inside the prison.
Why would they walk a horse into the prison?
Come on, boy.
Oh my god.
Right? Like, how are they getting it out once they kill it?
Right.
Lunchtime.
All the inmates had horse that day. Okay.
Sorry, I'm so stupid. I can't stop crying about this. Sorry, I did. Oh, okay.
That was the best. Okay, so 1,000 volts. They pumped William with electricity for 17 seconds. He was declared dead. Witnesses noticed he was still breathing, and the doctors confirmed he was still alive. The second time he was shocked with 2,000 volts. Blood vessels were bursting, and he caught fire. The smell filled the death chamber. The execution took 8 minutes. The autopsy revealed the blood vessels under the cap of his skull, where his skull was.
Okay, come on. Sorry.
She's excited, I think.
No, it's the blood vessels
Okay.
bursting.
It carbonized the top of his brain. Made it hard.
Knock on it.
I didn't know it could do that.
What we knocked on?
Maybe if you overcook something.
Yeah, I mean, he burned him. He was on fire.
Yeah. Ding. The first woman, actually the first person to ever be sentenced and executed in America was Bridget Bishop.
Yep.
During the
Salem
Salem
witch
witch
trials.
Okay, in 1899, the first woman to be on death row and executed by electric chair was Martha Place. At 23 years old, she was struck on the head by a sleigh. She never completely recovered. The accident left her mentally unstable. She married and had a son. Her husband left her, so she gave her son up for adoption when he was 3. She worked as a housekeeper and eventually remarried the man that actually hired her. William is his name. William had a daughter, Ida, who Martha was rumored to be very jealous of.
Ooh.
On February 7th, 1898, William arrived home and was attacked by Martha with an axe. William escaped and got the police. When the police arrived, they found Martha on the floor with clothes piled on her head and gas leaking from the stove. She was in critical condition. Upstairs, they discovered 17-year-old Ida laying on the bed and blood covering her from Martha, who threw acid on her and then strangled her to death.
Why were these things so accessible? Like back in the 1800s?
And then, unlike the first person in the electric chair, when she got into the electric chair, she died instantly, right when they flipped the switch.
Why was acid and arsenic and all this shit so
Chloroform
accessible?
and shit, you could go get it at the
so
pharmacy.
accessible.
You got a headache, do some heroin about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, I need some acid. Well, why do you need acid?
I just do.
My plants.
My plants like it.
Fertilizer, yeah. That's all I have for death row.
Wow.
Phew.
Bursting is crazy.